Hi there. In this lesson, we're going to be creating a column within our loans table. And when we use this in our Power BI report, it will open our email client and enable us to send out a dynamic loan reminder email to one of our students. The column that we'll be creating will be put together in such a way that it creates a web URL. And whilst we have two ways of creating this table column, Power Query or DAX, we're going to use DAX in order to create this column. And our final step with this exercise is that we'll need to update the field data category for the column to indicate that it's a web URL. In this exercise, we're going to be working in the Model Data Power BI report creation stage, as well as working in the Build Report stage in order to test things out. So let's move over to the exercise and start building. I'm in the My Library report and I need to create a new calculated column using DAX. I'm going to move over to the table view and I'm going to select on the loans table. I'm going to scroll across to the right hand side. And before I go any further, I'm going to show you what this column needs to look like. On screen is a text document that you can find as part of your learner resources. Let's focus on what we expect this column to look like. It starts with mail to, and that will indicate that your email client will need to open. liwang@example.com is the student's email. Subject is the subject of the email. It says you have an outstanding loan for Winnie the Pooh. And the body is simply the body of the email. It indicates, please be advised that the due date for the book was 1/15/2024 and it's currently 8 days overdue. Before I make this column dynamic, let's create a really simple column. I'm going to select this text here and I'm going to copy it. Let's move back to Power BI and I'm going to right click on any one of the columns and then indicate new column. And then I'm going to paste the values in there. This one doesn't quite work at the moment because it needs a quote in there and a quote at the other end. And then select enter. Notice at the top it's currently uncategorized. And later we're going to change that. But let's see what happens if we don't change it. Let's go back to our report. We'll create a new page. I'm going to click on the screen and then I'm going to introduce a table. I'm going to select on the student full name, the loans name. I'm going to expand the data pane and I'm going to bring in the loans reminder email. As you can see, in every case it says the same thing. We'll fix that later, but before we do that, we can also see we can't click on this. It's not going to do anything, and that's because Power BI doesn't understand that it's a web URL. Let's go back to our table view and we'll select on the column and change the data category to be web URL. Let's move back to the report. And you can see that you have the underline associated with it being possible to click on this. Let's try this out. Select on it. It's going to give us a warning. And that's because it's going to open another application. I'm going to select allow. And it's created for me a very simple email. But at this point, it's not dynamic. And in every case, it says exactly the same thing. So let's change that. On screen is the statement that we need to create. We know we need to start with mail to and a colon, but then we need to do an ampersand and related student email. Let's try that out. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to move to the table view. I'm going to replace this loans reminder email, and I'm now just going to have mail to and related student email. Select enter. The related function allows us to bring in the student email field from a related table. It's using the relationships that we set up previously. And this is between the loans table and the student table. Let's go back to our text document and enhance it further. I'm going to select all the way down to "You have an outstanding loan for." Select this, copy, move back, and then paste. Select enter. We now have a subject which is just about to tell us dynamically what the outstanding loan is for. Let's put an ampersand in, and then book name. It's PU book name, and then select enter. If we stop here, it wouldn't quite work because we don't have a body for our email. Let's keep going. Go back to Notepad. And now we're going to move all the way down to "Please be advised that the due date for the book loan was." I'm going to copy that and then paste that in. Select enter. I just need to add an ampersand in. And this allows us to concatenate the text. It allows us to join things of text together with each other. We need the due date, so I can type in due here. And it says date due. We'll take that. And then we'll do an ampersand. And then a quote. That means we're bringing in more text. And then we're going to say "it is currently." Put a space at the end of that and close the quotes. And we now need to indicate the number of days overdue. So let's create another calculated column to help us out here. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to indicate new column. The column is going to be called days overdue equals, and it's going to be if the loans, and it's the PU overdue. So if the loans overdue equals false, so if they are not overdue, then we want to indicate a 0. Otherwise, I'm indicating that with another comma. It's going to be today, open brackets, close brackets, minus due date. That's date due. Close the brackets and then select enter. Most of the loans in this dataset aren't overdue, but some of them are. I can see that I've got one with 48 days overdue. I can select that and I can see that's available to me. I can now return to my email reminder column, select on that, and I can now indicate how many days it is overdue. I can then put the ampersand in, type in overdue, and I've got the loans days overdue. I can now add another ampersand and quote days overdue, and then close the quote and then select enter. Let's move back to our visuals. I can see the data has now changed, and as I'd like to see some overdue loans, I'm going to click on some white space here, select on the slicer, and then I'm going to look for overdue, and I'm going to use the PU is overdue, drag that in there, and then select true. I'm pretty happy with this statement. However, when testing it out, I can see it's missing a gap here. Let's go back. Search for the email. Select on that. And I can put a space in here. Select enter. And I'm going to do one more formatting trick. Select on the table. Look at the formatting. Type in URL. And I can see I've got an option for a URL icon. If I select this, then it changes from being the full text and it indicates that it is an email. For those of you struggling with the days overdue column, you can see it here and it's available within your learner resources. I don't need this page anymore, so I'm going to select on it, right click and then delete. Delete this and then save my report. That brings us to the end of this lesson on adding an email link column to your report. We used DAX to create a dynamic link, and we had to update the field data category in order for it to be able to work. I'll see you in the next video.